friends. Today I wanted to talk about what I think is one of the hardest things about learning Japanese culture, and that is learning Japanese culture in itself. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but I really think it's difficult to try to learn it through personal experience, especially for, I think, Westerners. Um, what got me thinking about this originally was the fact that thinking back on all of the other videos I've made so far, I realized that I was making a lot of assumptions and about the way people around me may be thinking about me or maybe thinking about things in general. Uh, and I, there's no way for me to truly understand. And slowly over time, I've realized that it's getting harder actually. After having gotten them to open up a little, I think they just kind of freak out maybe or something, and then they close up even more. But that's a different story. Anyways, the point I'm trying to get in regards to my personal experience was that I'm making too many assumptions about everyone. Although I think I'm making some educational guesses based off of my past experiences and my conversations that I've had with some people, and of course, some of the conversations I've overheard. But even then, I it's just the people in my office are a very different group of people from the Japanese people I've met so far while I've lived here in Japan these past 5 years. And so I'm realizing more and more how clueless I may be to their thought process or values. And I guess that kind of got me thinking to how could I understand them better or faster or to get them to tell me. And I realized I can't, because that's part of the Japanese culture where you just kind of have to gain people's trust over time. There's not any action or magic words you could say to get them to open up right away or anything. You maybe get them to open up a little bit, which I think I was able to, but then uh, they'll stop or they'll close up or they'll they'll just kind of uh, maintain that distance, even if it closed a little bit, but maintain that. And I think it's just going to take time. And so I think it gets even more difficult for maybe Westerners who've never experienced this kind of culture, uh, where they want to know the culture, but they can't get it even through action or words because everyone's closed up. And so you just kind of have to wait. But at the same time, there's also an expectation from the Japanese people side where they're assuming you're kind of reading the air and thinking about them and understanding them and their unspoken words, because that's a culture where they've been raised in. So it's kind of natural for Japanese people to be able to kind of read each other based off of non-verbal communication. But maybe for a Westerner who isn't as used to it or not or don't understand the unspoken communication specific to Japan, it could become even more difficult. And when they don't do that, it might pull the Japanese people even further away because they're not following this standard rule that's known among Japanese people. And because they don't explain it either, the Westerner may not always get to figure out what they did wrong, but then it's just kind of this never-ending miscommunication and mistrust, and if that gets maintained, then even if you wait, no matter how long you wait, they never may open up to you in the worst case scenario. So I think that just makes it so difficult. And the other thing that makes it difficult, I think, is that the Japanese people themselves, many who have never even been abroad or really cared for, the countries outside of Japan, they don't realize that they are doing something unique to Japan. They don't realize that not everyone should understand this nonverbal communication because it's so ingrained in them. It becomes this unconscious bias. And so it's it's just almost impossible. And so, like, of course, I could talk about it in a video like this. Maybe you could read about it. But trying to learn through experience may be extremely difficult for many people. And it will really test people's patience because they just have to wait and do the routine that everyone else there are doing, and just continue to do that over time, and maybe they'll open up to you. You can't rush it, you can't force it, but at the same time you have to be kind of wary and aware and respectful. And yeah, that's just really, really hard, I think. Even me, who of course I was raised in the US most of my life, and I only moved here 5 years ago, but even then I thought I had a pretty good grasp about understanding the unspoken rules and the nonverbal communications and some of the rules that should be known. I thought I understood to some extent, but even after living here 5 years and being Japanese with Japanese family, I still am discovering new surprises at my new company. And so I just can't imagine what it's like for others. Anyways, that's kind of what my thoughts were, and that's why I think understanding Japanese culture is one of the hardest things in Japanese culture. Thanks for listening as always, and I'll catch you guys up again another time. Ciao.